Now, hi guys, Richard here. Just going to go over um, some quick tips to do with self-studying and our big blind defense. Um, Most of you guys, if anything, you're probably defending too tight. It's very rare for me to see someone calling too much from the big blind. So for most of you, it's going to be being too tight. Now, we can run some filters to quickly check to see what sort of hands we're folding. Um, the one I have set up here is just called "What am I not defending?" Um, as you can see, this is what the filters have. You need to put your position, so you're in the big blind. We can put the raise size that we faced, and if anyone's unsure how to do that, we do actions opportunities, pre-flop actions encountered with sizes, and we need to change the raise size here to any raise between, oh sorry, any two bet between, but yeah, anyway, any raise between one big blind and 1.5 big blind. So this will raise it to, this will be a min raise, so that will go to two big blinds because you're adding one big blind, and this will go to 2.5x the big blind, which is adding 1.5 big blinds. So you would add that to the filter, and that's how we get this here. It's better just for the sample, so you're not looking at 3x raises. You could filter it even more to make it 1.25 if you wanted to look at how you're doing versus really small raises to see if you are folding way too much. Here we've put folded to the 2-bet, which would be a pre-flop actions and opportunity, pre-flop, and a fold. And then we would click folded to 2-bet and add it to the filter. And that would give all the times where we folded. So we could run this filter, and as you can see, it's just going to show folding from the big blind is minus 111 on average. So this is just all the hands where I folded. If you go to the hand report and you start seeing too many hands that should be in there. So let's say you see a lot of ace-x. Let's say you see suited connectors. Let's say you see too many hands like 5-6 offsuit, 6-7 offsuit. So like 10-3 suited here. This shouldn't be a fold. This is not a fold. So whether this is a misclick, chances are it's a missing it in game because my call pre-flop 2-bet is like pretty wide, or really wide. So this shouldn't be a fold. So this is a mistake. Could be a couple of issues, but if you start seeing too many suited hands, too many connected hands, too many decent aces, then you're probably, it will show you what you're folding. And if your stat says you're like defending big blind like 42%, you're probably folding. There's loads of hands that you're missing calls with. We can change it to heads up. So what am I not defending heads up? You can to make it so it's heads up pots only, you would get what you had before, but you would put opportunity to squeeze. And then if you put, which would be found in pre-flop opportunities, squeeze opportunity. So you would put that in there and then you would select not, because if we don't have the opportunity to squeeze pre-flop, it means we're only facing a single raise because it hasn't gone raise and a call. So this will show you all the times where you folded heads up hands. Now hopefully in heads up we start seeing even less folds, and it's mainly going to be the junk. And then you might even want to check, for example, King 8. Maybe this was versus a 2.5, and from early position, yeah. So, this is actually a fold versus 2.5 from EP, I believe. But a lot of these King X will be only because they're from early position raises or versus a 2.5. So like this is not an acceptable fold. This one closer because it's versus MP 2.5x. But yeah, if you're going through your database and you're seeing too many of these, you start seeing too many suited hands, then it obviously shows you're missing a lot of them in game. If you want to change it to multi-way, again we would put the same criteria, but we would now put squeeze opportunity yes. So the squeeze opportunity means that because you have an opportunity to squeeze, it means it's gone raise and a call. So now we will start seeing more hands. We'll start seeing more ace high, king high folds. But still, we shouldn't see too many suited hands folded. We shouldn't see too many. We shouldn't see 5-6 in there, really. So yeah, this hand okay, I guess I was this flat threw me off and I folded, but still, in general, this wouldn't be a fold. 560. But this is how I would use it to look to see what hands I'm folding. And again, if you see too many ace-x, if you see too many, I mean, ace-x multi-way, you do fold a bit more, especially versus EP, especially like ace-6. We'd fold those more versus EP. But like this one, yeah, I'm just going to look. Hopefully it's versus EP. So yeah, this is never a fold, ever. Maybe I'm having some I don't know. Can't blame being disconnected. But I know overall my stat is very high at calling, so I'm fine that these are just rare missteps. But for the people with 42% call preflop 2-bet, 45%, you're probably missing a lot more of these. One's too many, but if the same people might have this 4 or 5 times. Okay, so those are things to check for what hands you're folding, and then we can see how well we're calling. So once we've made one of these filters, we could see we could remove that we folded, and we could add filter pre-flop, and we'd go call. So now we'd put that we called the 2-bet. So now this is going to show all the hands where we've called from the big blind multi-way, and obviously we're doing a lot better than folding. A lot of these are going to be standard calls. So some calls are going to make more than others. Some might just be marginal, minus 100 rather than minus 110 for folding. But you can definitely go in here to see how well you're doing calling. You can then start adding your hand groups. So we could go hand values, and you could be like, okay, I want to see how well I'm doing with all these weaker connectors multi-way anytime that I've ended up calling. So you might add those hands in there, and then you go save and apply. And now all of a sudden you can see every time I've been in a hand multi-way, and I've called, I've V-pipped, I'm doing a lot better than folding with these kind of hands. So if you're someone that's folding, so like here, some people might be folding hands like 6-3 off multi-way. These hands wouldn't be folds multi-way because the low connectors do better. So you might check these hands and you see that you're folding all the time. So let's say you wanted to see how often you V-pip here. We could put squeeze opportunity. We remove our action of calling, and we just sort of see here. We can see that I V-pip these hands 52% of the time, calling. So some of the time I'm folding these hands, which hopefully it's mainly 3-2 off, though, and maybe 5-2 off. They're the hands that are folding, because most of these should be calls. But you might run this filter and you see V-pip of 20% or 10%, so where you're always folding. Actions, opportunities, pre-flop. And obviously you can go in and check other hands. You could go and look at your suited hands you're doing. You could see broadways. Obviously the bigger the sample, the better. We can obviously look at heads-up hands. So you might want to see how well am I doing defending rag king X. So we'd go hand values, hold, hand range. How well am I doing with my rag queens and kings defending a big blind? So as you can see here, every time I've called in a heads-up pot, I'm winning. Folding's minus 111. So I'm making money with these weak hands defending. And then obviously the bigger the sample you get, the more accurate it's going to be. So they're ways to test your big blind defense. Look into the hands, go and look into the hands, and you can start seeing, okay, yep, these are all the hands I've called. And you know that in this sample, we're doing, we have a profitable call. We're doing a lot better than we are folding. So I think that's how I would self-study my big blind defense using filters. I'm not just going to send you all the filters here. You can see how that they're made yourself from when I show you. But knowing how to make your own filters is a good way to check the situation. And whenever you build a filter, you're going to want to just have a test run. So make sure when you check the hands, just check a couple of them to make sure that it shows what you want. You want heads up pots with a junk hand. So let's check again. I've got the opportunity to not squeeze. So that means that it's a heads up pot. Same again and again. So now you know the filter is fine. So yeah, hopefully this has helped. This will help you for studying big blind defense. This has been Richard for poker.com. Good luck at the tables, everyone.